Thank you very much. And thank you for having us at this conference and on this panel. We are very, very happy to be here and tell you more about our work. We are based at the University of Edinburgh, where we host the Peace and Conflict Resolution Evidence Platform, which is a research program that focuses on better understanding peace processes and generally ways in which transitions out of armed conflict can be better understood and better supported. One of the key reasons why we are here to tell you about the data that we are collecting is also to make a point about the need for peace process data that is specific and slightly separate from conflict data. What we have found over the years in collecting data on peace processes is that peace process dynamics, actors, are often quite different from those that are driven by armed conflict. And what we need is data that is peace process specific, and that takes into account everything that happens within peace processes and peace talks. Next slide, please, Neve. At the core of our data collection and research work is the PAX Peace Agreements Database and Dataset, started by Christine Bell now more than a decade ago. I've certainly been a data manager for PAX for almost 10 years now. In PAX, we collect all public, formal, written, signed peace agreements since 1990, and we function as an archive, but also as a data provider. So we provide a full text corpus of all agreement texts. We provide a searchable database and quantitative data export based on human coding of about 250 categories of substantive issues. Potentially interesting for the audience at this conference is that we will be moving towards AI supported coding. So to sort of repeat the phrase of colleagues over the last 2 days, we are implementing a process for data production that has AI in the loop, and is still driven primarily by humans. And importantly, experts on peace processes and peace agreement data. So our database has global coverage and covers all formal written peace agreements. Now, the issue with that is that not everything that happens in peace processes is well captured in formal written peace agreements. Next slide, please, Neve. So what we are trying to do is build a data infrastructure for understanding peace processes. So we take the PAX data as our sort of core data output, and we build from there. So alongside PAX and its sub-databases, we're also working on Peace Agreement Actors Dataset, which takes account of all signatories in peace agreements, which then also allows us to track actors across other data sources, both quantitative and qualitative, primarily textual data sources. In addition to the sort of existing PAX database, we are also now starting, and when I say now, I mean genuinely from about the 1st of June, we've started a new project developing a database of interstate agreements, which we hope to expand back, hopefully to 1815. But since the project is time limited up to March 2027, we will see how it goes, and hopefully take it at least to 1918, and hopefully to 1815. This will be driven primarily by by a newly developed ontology of issues in interstate agreements and an AI supported process for data encoding. Could I have the next slide, please? Now this looks like a jumble, but this is one of our favorite graphs that shows the trajectories of peace processes globally since 1990. And so, in an ideal sort of, if peace processes match their ideal types, what we would see are sort of parallel lines running from sort of bottom to top. What we see instead is this mess in a spaghetti bowl, and what this tells us is that peace processes are complex and peace processes are nonlinear. And what we do need is a better understanding of how they move and shift and go forward. Next slide, please, Neve. The example, oh, sorry, that's my 5 minute mark, and I need to be wrapping up. But what I wanted to say now is that our data enables us to track particular countries and particular processes. So what you see here is an example of sort of tracking a particular process over time with formal written agreements. But as I said, that's not enough. Could we move to the next slide, please? On the next slide. Sorry, move forward. On the next slide, what we see is the PAX tracker, where we combine our data on peace agreements and peace processes with data from colleagues and other data providers. And hopefully, you'll get a chance to explore a little bit of this. One of the features that I think are quite interesting, next slide, please, is the ability to look at particular data resources for each of the countries. So here you can see the data we hold on South Sudan. Next slide, please. In particular, one of the features that I think is quite interesting is this institutional change timeline where one can see amnesties, constitutions, peace agreements, local agreements for one particular setting and over time. Next slide, please. We supplement this data wherever possible with country-based data. So for South Sudan in particular, we are able to supplement data that we have that is very sort of high level with data coming from surveys. So in particular, here we have perceptions of peace survey conducted by our colleagues Jan Pospisil, David Deng, Sophia Dawkins, and Christopher Oringa. Now, I think in already 6 waves of the survey. Hopefully, you'll have a chance to have a little look at this. But now I'm going to surrender the floor to Neve, who's going to tell you a little bit more about why we collect data on peace agreement signatories.
Yeah,
Neve, the
thank
floor
you,
is yours.
Sonia. So I'll try to be quick here, but the next data source I want to kind of talk through about the PAX universe is the extension that Sonia mentioned. We've been working on the past few years to try and systematize and structure the actors that sign agreements. So PAX, over the course of the years of coding, have recorded parties and third parties exactly how they were written and signed in the text. So this is necessary to know in each agreement who committed to them and how they signed these legal agreements, but it makes it really difficult to be able to track individual actors across agreements. So you can see on the screen how they're recorded. There's often uses of acronyms without the full names, different languages, aliases or changing names, misspellings, inconsistent delimiters, and names of individuals who are signing on behalf of groups, but it does not say the group, or it says ambiguous things like the parties or the government, meaning you need to look at the wider kind of landscape of where the agreement is signed. To address this and kind of provide more disaggregated data on signatories, we've utilised named entity recognition models alongside years of manual annotation and corrections to extract, structure, and record the unique actors under a single identifier. This allows us to match metadata like the actor types, the country they're primarily based in, country codes for that country, IDs of actors in relevant data sets such as UCDP or ACLED, and we also record the alternative names, such as you can see on screen, to refer to these entities under these identifiers. This is the start of trying to build out a wider peace process data infrastructure to enable interoperability across these sources and paint a better picture. In PAX, we can only see the instance of an agreement being signed, and without other context that can speak to each other, we can't see the activities of what the actors are doing surrounding it. So the results of this data extension shows why this is really essential. 74% of the unique actors that we recorded as signatories to peace agreements are not conflict parties. They're not recorded in UCDP or ACLED, so infrastructure and systems that are primarily built for peace, but using conflict data does not capture the diverse set of actors who do sign agreements. These can include international or regional organisations, media states, civil society groups, trade unions, political parties, youth representatives, and so on. So as you can see from this giant network behind the screen, we recorded over 8,000 signatory instances to around 1,000.
You've got about 30 seconds left, sorry.
Agreements. Yeah, no problem. But just to show some ways that we can get insights and patterns into it, we've got a lot of networks on the tracker. Feel free to check them out. And it allows you to immediately see kind of who signs together, who does not. And viewing it in different ways lets us see the trajectories across time, when actors enter processes, who they sign with, when different types of actors get included. And we can also connect it to the topics that they mention in the agreements to see how actors influence the content. This is just the beginning of the types of analysis we can do on actors who are involved in the formal processes and how we can better track them, not just within PACS, but to link to other data sets and contextualize the actors in other spaces. Just to
I'm
say,
going to have to cut you off, Neve, I'm
yeah,
afraid.
no problem.
We've got slightly over time now.
Yeah,
But many thanks, and also to Isaac and Sanya and Magnus as well.